extracted, find safer ways to produce ergo-friendly panels, which are maybe with the interchangeable parts or making them a little more less toxic in a sense to either manufacture or to recycle them. But overall, I just ask that how do we do this? That's my overall question. How can we do this in a safer, in a more environmental friendly process? And that's pretty much my research. Thank you.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Davion Holman, and I'll be talking about gold today. And the title of my poster is "For the Love of Gold: Gold Digging to Harm the Earth." And as we know, gold is a precious commodity to human all over the world. It's a desire that people want. Everybody wants the gold, and gold is used is a multitude of things. It's used in jewelry. It's used as a form of trade for developing nations. Is investors they brought their portfolios up in gold and it reached the highest level in 2025. And some of the ways to get this oil, well, some of the ways to get this gold that it was a lot of excuse me, let me start over real fast. To get this gold right here, people they used to use sand, and with this sand they use mercury, and with this mercury it was harming the earth, and it was getting into the environment, polluting the environment, polluting the waterways. And it was a cheaper form was to use heap leaching. But with this heap leaching, you have to use cyanide. With the cyanide is sprayed on the rock to break up the ore from the gold. But this got into the waterways because of acid mine drainage. And that became into the waterways, and people started killing the fish off. And it started affecting the people because they were swimming in the waterways, and it started coming, people started getting lesions on them, cancerous things in their bodies. And some of the forms that I could say that we can stop doing that is by just practicing less harmful mining techniques when it comes to gold, closing some of those abandoned mines. Just stop putting a commodity on the gold as a form of trade and just treasure it. And that's my time right there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dana Offley. I'm here to perform my environmental geology poster, Gold, a Gift and a Curse. As you can see, gold is for Black people, we love gold. You know, if you know anybody Black, I guarantee you they got some gold somewhere. So, and gold is also a social economic development to many countries like US, Canada, and Australia. It helps them rise into power. In the late 1600s, gold enabled the Ashanti Kingdom to emerge as one of the most powerful countries in West Africa. So that leads me to Ghana Gold City, which is the largest producer in Africa and the sixth largest in the world with 4 million ounces of gold per year. So how gold is formatted is when the earth was forming, heavy metals like iron and gold would sink to the molten core. And how we extract it is when earthquakes happen in fractured the rock, which create pathways for the warm water to push these minerals to the surface. And when it gets to the surface, it cools off and it forms inside of the quartz. And in order to extract the gold, people use mercury to rinse off the gold. But that mercury that they're using is causing land degradation. It's harming the land, it's harming the earth, it's harming the air. And in Ghana, they got small scale mining, which you see on the bottom left. And that small scale mining may seem like it's not much, but it's destroying more of the land than industrial mining. And you may think to yourself, why do I care about what's going on in Ghana in their gold? Well, Ghana is the second largest producer of cocoa beans. And companies like Nestle, Hershey, and Mars are big buyers of the cocoa beans that create our chocolate that we eat. So a lot of other countries have stopped accepting the cocoa beans from Ghana because of the mercury that's used in the water. So what can be done to prevent this stuff is provide further land for the community members. People come into these communities and they destroy the earth, and you can set a legal limit of concession granted for mining companies. And right now, it's no thing that prevent people from continuing to destroy the earth and build effective and accountable programs with the state that bring people from Ghana to have a say what's going on in their community and their lands. Thank you for your time. Our next presenter is Jose Perez.
Humanity motor right there.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jose Perez, and I'll be talking about uranium because let's face it, what's it good for? Other than fueling nuclear power plants, reactors, the only thing we use it for is making nuclear warheads, which after World War II, or during the time period of World War II, after they dropped the bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they started looking for uranium, digging up uranium, making mines all around the world. In fact, if you look at the poster that I made, we have over like 10 major countries producing uranium. And for what? Do we really want nuclear warheads? Weapons of mass destruction to destroy the planet? No. But uranium, either way, when it's being dug, it's still releasing radiation into the environment. It's still depleting the ecosystem. It's still affecting people around the area that the mines are being created and dug. Which, unfortunately, this happened in and around the Navajo Nation. Because that is a location of uranium ore deposits, large amounts of it. And after they, the mines started, the Navajo Nation built the mines, dug up all the uranium, they just left. Said everybody they could deal with their own problems later. So unfortunately, the uranium is not good for anybody. And therefore, I will just propose that we go to alternative energies, renewable energy, such as wind farms, solar panels, and the such. So that's my presentation, and thank you for your time. Thank you.
Luis Ramirez. So I chose to do my environmental geology poster on the element silver. So I'm going to describe silver and its uses. Silver is the most conductive metal. It's more conductive than gold or copper. It's highly reflective. It's the #1 reflective element. So it's used a lot in solar panels. More recently, this is what made me want to do my poster on it, was the nanoparticles. So they've been creating silver nanoparticles, and the process is really complex. I wouldn't know how to explain it, but they do something with gamma radiation and they energize them, and they have them. They're using them at medical applications, agriculture, a lot of things. So formation, how is silver formed? Silver is formed in the earth. Hydrothermal activity hydrothermal solutions are hot enough to melt metals, and they carry and deposit silver around the world. And this is what we mine whenever there's enough in one location. How is it extracted? Mining, we know it's bad for the environment. It causes environmental degradation. I put a study about Oaxaca, Mexico, where indigenous tribes banded together to combat a Canadian company that was going down and exploiting and causing a lot of pollution to the indigenous land and destroying their way of life. So Mexico is actually the biggest producer of silver. And then I created these graphs. I actually wanted to really point these out. So Dr. Torres sent me some info on the top silver producers and the countries with the highest silver reserves by nation. And using Excel, which is something that was new to me and a lot of us, it was hard too. I created these graphs with the data she gave me. So these are self-made graphs. I did get the data from the United States Geological Survey. And so those are all these graphs here. And for the future, silver is important because it's a non-renewable element. That means that once we use it all up, it doesn't just get created again, and it's hard to find. So for the future, recycling and tech advances, we can increase recycling and learn how to use silver more appropriately. We can get to a lot of renewable energy. Thank you.
Talk about my poster for environmental geology.
platinum, the other bling. Platinum is a real interesting ore because it has a lot of utilities for humanity. On one hand, it helps with medical devices, defibrillators, dental angioplasty, anti-cancer drugs. But on the other hand, after World War I, it became important to the government because it's used as primers in military munitions, explosives, and things like that. People also use platinum to make jewelry and stuff like that. It's mainly used, I think, today in Cadillac converters for cars because it deals with carbon emissions. It works as like a filter to deal with the carbon emissions. As far as its extraction methods, it has an impact on the miners. It gives them lung cancer and stuff like that. The way that they mine it, the acid mine runoff can poison the aquatic water area, stuff like that. So I think some of the environmental justice concerns in the future with extraction methods, they can use phytoremediation could be mandated in the countries where platinum is mostly mined. Platinum today is mostly mined in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Russia. And, I don't know what their government is doing as far as health risks with that, but it probably can be improved because, those countries are probably exploiting the people there. So that's my presentation. Thank you.
That concludes our class posters for environmental geology. Can we get a round of applause for the presenters? Further, can we get a round of applause for our professor, Dr. Rachel Torres? With that, we're going to make a switch and begin to add a little bit of context to the world with some cultural studies. Here to kick us off is my personal friend, Mr. Antonio Barajas.
Hi, my name is Antonio Barajas. This is my poster, War of Diversified Descent. For our class, Critical Cultural Studies, we read part of Nietzsche's Young, Good, and Evil. I chose Aphorism 200, which begins like this: the man of the age of dissolution, which mixes races with one another, who has the inheritance of a diversified descent in his body, that is to say, contrary and often to not only contrary instincts and standards of value, which struggle with one another. I don't know what that says in the last part. Yeah, when I read this, I thought about me. I thought about how what has been my interest, which is pretty much on this poster. I'm gonna run through it. The end of Nietzsche's aphorism. In the middle, he talks about this human being that has all these whose descends from all these. I took it as cultures, which is me, the Mexican American, colonizer with African ancestry, trying to figure out who he is in the United States and learning history and finding himself through culture. My area of interest is obviously where my family comes from, which is the Laguna de Chapala in Michoacan, Mexico. That lagoon extends all the way to Jalisco. And to me, at the end of the Aphorism 200, Nietzsche talks about who he holds as, for his taste, as a first European, somebody he admires. He also, he mentions as an artist, he mentions Leonardo da Vinci, but he mentions Hohenstaufen Frederick II for his taste. I don't have European taste. My taste stay in the Americas. So I chose Lázaro Cárdenas, who is a Mexican president and descended from, he has Purépecha ancestry. That caption right there, the Indians like came from an American newspaper. It's a disrespectful quote right there. But I mean, it's a whole perspective that I've been dealing with. How do you deal with growing up and being inculcated in a Western culture, and then trying to find yourself, trying to find who you are, trying to find your ancestry, trying to find those instincts and where they come from in you. And to me, that's my indigenous background. I grew up knowing I'm indigenous. My father always inculcated that in me. And to me, the epitome of that would be the Zapatistas. And altogether, for cultural studies, Hall has this thing called a conjuncture, where two opposing things meet and something is produced. And to me, that would be the Laguna de Chapala and its ecology, which culture affects beyond just human relations. It goes into land, and that land right there is suffering degradation because of the West. But thank you very much.
James Baltier Jr. I did this poster in my cultural communications class. Throughout the semester, I've been trying to figure out myself, trying to figure out who I really am, what it is I want to do in life. Be honest with you, I struggle daily, sometimes momentarily, moment to moment. So when I did this poster, I wanted to put all kinds of things. When I sat back and looked at it, I thought it just best described me. It describes my beginning and my end. My beginning because right now, since I'm struggling, sometimes I stand alone and I feel like I know that I got demons and I fight them every day. I quoted Nietzsche. I know he may use this in a different way, but I used it as once I get that important category inside me tamed, now I can figure out who I really am. So when I get to my end, I can stand out in the world, look out into it, and see endless opportunities. Keep my demons there. I'll never get rid of them. That way I could always look back at them and know as a reminder where I never want to go again. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Alberto Carvajal. My poster is on Max's critical cultural communications. My idea and background was the current state of Trump's media actions, using hyperreal as an illusion to create a war, and then using that and evidence to say that they had some kind of enrichment. So I use Baudrillard's and Wong's method of hyperreal, pretty much hiding the truth within the truth. There is no truth. They created a scenario where they wanted to attack the Iraqis to say that they had weapons of mass destruction, and they didn't have any weapons of mass destruction, and they linked them to terrorist networks, so that they can change the perspective of American society and view so that they can have an easier way for any way people can block criticism for them to attack Iraq. They created a whole scenario. They created this whole truth about them having weapons of mass destruction. At the end of the day, there was no evidence to show that there was any weapons of mass destruction. It was only a form of the United States using hyperreal to deter any Iraq from enacting further violence to the United States' hegemonic control and interest in the Middle East. The real mongers are those who live on the ideology of the veracity of this war, while the war itself wreaks its havoc at another level by trickery and hyperreality, simulacra, and by the entire mental strategy of deterrence. At the end of the day, there was no weapons of mass destruction. Thank you. That's the end of my presentation.
My name is Manuel Roots, and I'm doing this on my cultural communications class. It's a Baudrillard, and I don't think he said termination of imitation, but I would like to think that's what he talks about when things are artificial, that things that are real becoming artificial that become real. So I picked vitamins because I think corporate America is now, instead of pushing healthy foods and extending it to all the communities, they're pushing vitamins, pills, and wanting us to take supplements. It's much easier, much cheaper for them to give us one thing and one shot. And it's the same thing here in prison. They say we eat healthy diets, we get fruits and whatnot. But then again, they still say sometimes, we're deficient in certain vitamins, and they want to provide us vitamins instead of providing us nutritional diets. So my thought is, what I put was vitamins versus vegetables or fruits. Why is it a competition? It shouldn't be a competition. We should all be having the ability to eat healthy, fresh foods instead of relying on supplements. And then my second one, I went all out of order. To the left at the bottom is fun fruits, saying fruits are fun, they're wacky, they're gummy. There's nothing real about gummy fruits. That's not natural. They're definitely not, well, some may look wacky, but there's nothing real about that. It's just another sense of capitalism trying to push something that's artificial and making us believe we're receiving the same nutrition from the artificial products. And then above that, what I'm saying here in this photo is basically the artificial has become the real. No longer are we thinking about something that's natural, organic, and something that's good for us. What we're doing is now taking in the artificial and assuming that is natural, that is real, and that's what we're supposed to have. Thank you. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Friend groups here. Yes, judging by my poster, I'm gonna talk about prison, fatherhood, and legal theory with no pop quiz at the end, so no worries. So I've been reading Storytelling for Oppositionists and Others, a plea deal for narrative by Richard Delgado. And let me tell you, basically he's saying, hey, if the system isn't just unfair, but also really good at telling stories that make it look fair, in reality, stories hold power, including bedtime stories. They all challenge official narratives. Here's a story I was handed by a CO here just the other day. If you become a father while incarcerated, boom, labeled. Deadbeat, absent, what can you do for her? Case closed, no appeals. I say wrong. This ain't no dang court of law. I'm no less of a dad. And with Delgado's spark, my counter story is that prison has only made me more intentional. Intentional in what I say, intentional in every call, and intentional in every letter I write. So I'm giving myself permission to push back and rewrite my story to say, I'm not your stereotype. My story is a whole lot better one. Thank
you. My name is Frank Escalante, and I'm going to be talking about the Joker and Nietzsche. I was really inspired by someone I had close to my heart. In high school, she was studying Nietzsche, and in high school, I was studying the Joker, Tim Burton's Batman. And to kick it off and everything, I like to quote it with the Joker. He says, "You see, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve." So what Nietzsche is saying is, it's a bad conscience. It's hostility, cruelty, pleasure and prosecution, assault and change and destruction, right? His moral hypocrisy, is this what he basically is saying for those who have a bad conscience? Of those commanding, they know no other way to protect themselves against their bad conscience than to pose as the executors of more ancient or higher commands. Law, military, religion, but yet themselves, they have this bad conscience, right? And the Joker, he says this, you see, their morals, their code, it's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble. They're only as good as the world allows them to be. I'll show you. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. So, in essence, the only sensible way to live in this world is one without rules. And this is what he basically says to Harvey Dent. He tells them, you're schemers. The same way Nietzsche would say, you're just a pack of the herd. The Joker says, I'm an agent of chaos, right? And Harvey Dent, it doesn't really click until the end, where it starts making sense. The Joker tells them, the thing about chaos, it's fair. And the coin flips, but everybody knows about that. My name's Frank Escalante, and how you like them apples, Heather?
Hi, my name is Corey Flannery, and my poster is about Baudrillard's obsession of simulacra with Angie Wan's critique of racialized representation to the film Venom. I broke it down into 5 parts. The first part is Baudrillard, simulacra, and the collapse of reality. Basically, what Baudrillard's saying is that he argues that representation no longer reflects reality, they replace it. This is what he calls procession of simulacra. Copies come before and shape what we think is real. In the film Venom, the symbiote, literally a copy-like entity with no fixed identity, takes over and reshapes his human bodies. Eddie and Venom blur into one being, making it hard to separate what is real and what is constructed. This reflects Baudrillard's idea that identity itself becomes a simulation, something produced, not authentic. Part two, I use Angie Wong's simulations in Hollywood's Yellow Peril. With that, she argues that Hollywood creates the racial simulacra, especially when it comes to Asian identities. They're not real people, but exaggerated images rooted in history of Yellow Peril, which is fears of them being dangerous, invasive, and alien. Even though the film Venom is not explicitly about Asian identity, it follows a pattern through metaphors. That being the symbiote, Venom is a invasive foreign body that it corrupts human hosts and spreads body echoing ideas of contamination and loss of control. That's what you see in the little second image right there. For number three, I combine both theories. Baudrillard Venom is a simulation of identity being with no original form, only copies and hosts. Wong reflects racialized imagery where the other is constructed as dangerous, invasive, and uncontrollable. Venom becomes a kind of hyper-real other, not a real threat, but a media-created one that feels real. The audience doesn't question this type of imagery. They accept it and they actually enjoy it. Number four is consumption and entertainment. Another connection is how these ideas are packaged as entertainment. Doesn't matter if they're racist or stereotypical, they package them as entertainment. Venom turns fear of the other into something exciting, fun, and profitable. This aligns with both theories. Baudrillard would consume simulations as reality. Wong would consume racialized imageries without recognizing. And then I followed up the bottom line is that shows that these type of stereotypical identities still exist. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adrian Garcia, and in critical cultural studies, I use Nietzsche's aphorism, flexibility of morality, and the obedience that it requires and continues to require. I chose to use that to help me unpack, right, the systems of power and the morality and the rhetoric that it uses to categorize those trying to make the most of their opportunities to exercise their First Amendment right, the right to protest. Specifically, Trump's comments, what he talks about protests in 2020 from Oregon and from the Black Lives Matter movement, in comparison to those that took place January 6th, 2021 at the Capitol, right? And it's to further understand, right, that the discourses and rhetoric of morality is modified and maintained by the power that distributes it through various means of exclusion and inclusion. The division between true and false, good and evil, systems of exclusion which governs our will of truth and power. It shows that whatever speech exists outside of the discourse will not be even given consideration within the discourse. A quote by Nietzsche kind of breaks it down for me and unpacks it, where he says, I call it the moral hypocrisy of those commanding. They know no other way to protect themselves against their bad conscience than to pose as the executors of more ancient or higher commands of ancestors, the constitutions of right, the laws, or even God. So what I got from Nietzsche unpacking that is getting down to the fact that these moralities are created by human beings. They're passed down by human beings, and it gets us to continue to follow those things over and over. It doesn't really truly understand the complexities of the human beings, of that imagination. That's my time. I thank you guys for allowing us to be here. You guys have a great day.
Good afternoon, everybody. Other professors here at the college stuff. Decided to write on simulacra and the simulation and its exploitation through simulacra. The reason I decided to pick on this article or this topic in simulacra was because I was just wondering like about this, all the stuff you keep hearing on the news and stuff, and what was the simulacra and stuff, But you think about it, it even goes beyond, like in the article of Angie Wong's book, the Hollywood, culture of Hollywood's yellow peril, talking about how like Asian women and, not just Asian women, but basically in this book, Asian women, how they've been discriminated against through the colonization, men, in society, the white society, white elites have created this thing about Asian women is, they're just objects, to have and stuff, and to use and be used, and to be left aside and stuff as a toy or something, So that was a colonizer right there trying to get in here, But I want to say though that I said it's not about it's sexploitation through the simulacra that these men, the white elites back then, and then even now today, you think of the Harvey Weinstein and that other guy, that are just, like creating these illusions of young girls and stuff, that they have to have for if they want to make it in the world that they live in and stuff, and that's not right, so just your parents just be mindful of that and stuff, what's going on, try to get these little texts or whatever and stuff like that, because, as we know, women don't need to be treated like that, so. Like I said, just be mindful of that, and it's weird because like the simulacra, like all they're creating is like this hyper real fantasy and stuff, and the hyper real comes from a modes of control, where it's basically just snippets of what's real, like these girls are imagining seeing like stuff that they can have and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's not real. They're only going to give themselves hurt. That's my time. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Salvador Jacobo. Today I'm going to be for my cultural studies.
Salvador,
We're talking about.
Oh, hey Salvador, can I interrupt you for just a sec?
What happened?
Can we can President Carvajal say hello to y'all for a minute? Hey Steve, will you show the full screen just so we can say howdy? Can we drop the PowerPoint for just a minute? And if you want to, the camera's right here. If you want to say hello.
Right there. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to stand up and say hello, they'll be able to see you. But that's the crowd right there. That's the team. So the classroom.
All right.
So it is great to see you guys. I've heard all about the program. I'm looking forward to come up there and making a visit myself. I'm so impressed by what you're doing. You don't know this, but I have a background in communication, so I love the degree you're getting, and I love all the things you're going to get to be able to do with it and use it. I'm inspired by the work that you're putting in, and I'm loving getting to hear some of these presentations today. So it's great to be with you. I can't wait to meet you in person, and go Jags.
Yes. Thanks so much, hey Salvador. We appreciate your flexibility.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Salvador Jacobo, and today I'm going to be talking about Godzilla. When I was growing up, I used to watch Godzilla, but I never knew what he represented. So after I have a 3-year-old son that he's nonverbal. So I call him Baby Godzilla because he likes to scream a lot, and from a distance, he kind of sounds like Godzilla. So that was my motivation right there, and it goes with our class, with what we're learning about. So I came across this article, and I was impressed with what I learned because I didn't know that Godzilla just isn't just the Godzilla movie character that I watched. It's more than that. So in 1954, less than 10 years after the atomic bomb of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, was the creation of Godzilla, and he wasn't designed to be a fun movie. It was It was a terrifying reflection of a nation harmed by nuclear trauma. Godzilla's destructive power is the reflection of the physical devastation of atomic weapons. So, and as the year go by, Godzilla representation switches from a villain to a protector of the world back to a villain again. It's just every time they create they come out with a new Godzilla, it's always a different message. There's always a message behind each movie. So Godzilla's skin represents the radiation burn that people suffer from atomic bomb that was dropped in Japan. So as you can tell, you see the skin of Godzilla. That's how the victims were they were suffering. And the roar of Godzilla represents the screaming and cries of the people. Godzilla was created for propaganda and a symbol of the U.S. environmental degradation, destruction, nuclear trauma. And today he remained relevant for over 70 years as a living documentation of historical collective trauma. So the next time you watch a Godzilla movie, just remember that there's always an environmental message behind it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. My name's Henry Wattis, and what I'm trying to do is change the culture on and promote more diverse grassroots community health centers. What I mean by that is like everybody's separate, so I'd rather have them together to fight for a bigger picture. So I started up with Boulder Guard, where it shows the hyper reality that we're in right now, from mass incarceration, wars, trade wars, homelessness. I put it all there, and what I put Nietzsche because he helps us understand disagreements, moralities, how to question everything, to manifest, to come to common ground and possess something good. I did Martin Sosa because he's all into finding inconsistencies and contradictions in the law, and he let it be known that even if you lose or not or win, you're still exposing them. You're still able to seek the truth of how the system really works. And then I put for Cole because he gave us the understanding of how power is, like what we're up against, institutions, the effects of power, how it's an instrument, and it's the mastery of our souls. That's the what's in us, that we have the power to change that. And I put all of us in there. These are all future visionaries. These are all the people who are going to go back and make it different. And that's a diverse grassroots community health right there. We actually do help each other. And I want to put out a little message for Humboldt because I know they're going through with Amazon right now. They're making a big decision. And come together and think about it. I don't think it's going to help your small businesses. I think it's integration. And those 200 jobs ain't really going to do too much up here. So I just wanted to throw it out there to come together because that's pretty much what I have right there. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm a little bit more nervous. Got my big brother in stands. Man, I should never told you. I think I messed up, but hello, everybody. My name is Manu, but you guys can call me Manny. My poster right here is Bruce Lee. Growing up, I'm fascinated with Bruce Lee, but I just thought he was like a big movie star, and just kung fu. But later I learned it was gong fu, and it wasn't just about fighting scenes. I never realized that Bruce Lee was his biggest fight was against countering hegemony, in particular against whiteness in movie scenes and white Western Hollywood. Bruce Lee wasn't accepted in Hollywood because of his race, because he was an Asian and a man of color. At this time, Hollywood was exclusionary and only allowed people of color to act in minor roles such as sidekicks or servants. Even major roles that were about a person of color, like James Caan, were given to white actors. Come on, that was just foul. And then Asians were never considered to play their own roles. They said there was no market for actors like that. But Bruce Lee proved them wrong. Hollywood rejected him. So he went to do his own movies in Hong Kong. And guess what? His movies were successful. People liked what he did. People liked his acting, his fighting, his kung fu. And it wasn't just in Hong Kong. His movies came to the US. and succeeded. Like Jeff Chain says, in Mirror Water Echo, the decolonization of global pop culture began. It would be increasingly impossible to unsee or unhear the third world. Page 434, Max. I'm going to follow another connection that says Bruce Lee is decolonization. We read Dr. Jessica Hernandez, Growing Papaya Trees, and she told us that what she thinks of decolonization is, she says, many use decolonization, but forget that decolonization is a verb, an action, a lifelong journey. Decolonization is not just a concept to discuss. It demands concrete actions, challenge, and dismantle oppressive structures. Again, page 158, Max. Bruce Lee may not have known it, but what he did was decolonization. So when you see movies or Jackie Chan or even Denzel Washington or even George Lopez, who's my distant relative somewhere, just remember that color is decolonization. And even yourselves and ourselves here, when we show up to speak like this, we too are decolonization. Again, my name is Manny Lopez, and thank you for your time. I'll be brought.
My name is Mike Mariscal, and I'm here to talk about my poster on baseball. And I want to expose baseball for the recruitment strategies that they're currently using in South and Central America as it exposed to American imperialism. So when we think about Major League Baseball, we usually hear about talent, we think of competition, we think of the potential to reach the idea of the American dream. But I want to argue is that MLB is not just a sports league, it functions as a global system of extraction. It operates like a machine that absorbs, reshapes, and profits from Black and brown bodies, particularly from marginalized and disenfranchised peoples that operate outside the imperial hub of the United States. Countries like the Dominican Republic, South and Central America, these are just spokes that are connected through baseball, and they reinforce the ideological wheel of American exceptionalism and the American dream. My thesis for this poster is how the recruitment system in Latin America today functions as that form of cultural imperialism, commodifies these young bodies, exploits economic vulnerabilities, and normalizes harm under the guise of opportunity, revealing through a cultural study lens how global capitalism disguises the domination as a dream, and echoing Nietzsche's aphorism from his work, Beyond Good and Evil. What is good is often defined by those who benefit from it. Morality is a tool that obscures power relations rather than exposes them. The few people that do succeed become this proof that the dream is real, while the thousands that don't are erased from the narrative. The cultural studies perspective, or from a cultural studies perspective, this isn't just about sport, it's about power. As Rakasham in an article, What Cultural Studies Is and Is Not, reminds us, cultural systems are inseparable from histories of empire. MLB's global reach mirrors older imperial patterns, resources, in this case, human talent. Human talents are extracted from the periphery, refined in the center, that is America, and turned into a profit. The players' bodies become commodities shaped to fit the demands of the U.S. dominant market and culture. And the system doesn't just exploit labor, it normalizes harm. Thank you, everybody. That's my question.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel Nault. Not dancing. So in our critical cultural studies class, we learned that the discipline is about actually examining how culture clashes with societal issues like the social and political aspects and economic aspects as well. So using John Baudrillard's notion of simulacra, I decided to make my poster and actually write on Fortnite. Now, what kind of inspired me is that I was watching a Louis Theroux documentary, and in it, he followed Nick Fuentes, who was that America First guy. He was pretty controversial. But in it, he said that Fortnite is the new golf course. And that's something that really struck me and stuck with me, because when you think of that of a traditional golf course, you think of power, you think of white man with wealth. And so looking at that in the context of gaming and the meme culture, kind of realize how that has become the hub for connection and political expression. So John Baudrillard says that simulacra has no relation to any reality whatsoever. And by looking at Fortnite as simulacra, even though that it's a simulation and it's not real, there are real implications. And that's more of what I was interested in when I was studying this and looking at it. So when you look at Fortnite, you kind of think of the absurdities, the sanitized death, those commercialized thematic campaigns and playful expressions. But really what that does is deters us from the real violence of maintaining Western culture of dominance in a post-apocalyptic civil warfare. And if you look at that, like you think of it as being playful when it's really not, because you're trying to reproduce capitalism again. You're also reproducing these forms of domination. And if you look at people like Nick Fuentes, they're using that platform to then spread their ideologies and political expressions and ideas. So with that, I hope you enjoy the poster and check it out. And there's a lot to unpack. So it's something that you could perhaps look into also. And with that, I want to thank you. And I also want to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Jaime Navarro.
Go back. Hello, everyone. My name is Jaime Navarro, and my poster focuses on the banning of books. Before I begin, I would like to read a quote by Jessica Hernandez, Growing Papaya Trees, and it goes like this: "We all have our radical origin story, the moment when we decide we are not okay with the status quo and wanted to change for ourselves and our communities." Today, my poster is rooted in my personal counter story. So when I came to prison, I really had all these questions because I didn't know myself. Growing up, I was taught the Western lens. I was taught that George Washington was the first person who planted a tree, a cherry tree, which up to now, I don't know if it's true or not. But what I started doing when I came to prison, I started to become inquisitive. I started to wonder what my history was. Where did I come? Why is it that the balance of power shifts towards one way more than the other? So as that took its course, I started to read, right? And I encountered all these books that just started opening up my mind. And these were books that were pretty much written for people like myself, people of color, people who at one point or another were oppressed, didn't have a clue about their history, right? And I've always wondered, why was this something that was going on? Why was it something that continued to happen, that every time when I finished a book and I tried to find a different book to read, I couldn't get it? And it just, I don't know, it piqued my interest. But come to find out, at time being, there's over 1,600 books that are currently on the ban list. We're not allowed to get them. If you get them and you're found with them, you could suffer what they call an RVR, which is a rules violations report. A lot of times these books, when they do arrive to the institution, they're either destroyed or they're sent back, which costs a lot of money for people who send them to us. There's been times too when books have already been donated to us and they never reach us because of the content of the book. So a lot of times these books that are related to counter stories, right, which are meant to help us, identify our struggles. They're meant to identify our oppression, meant to identify where we come from, are not given to us because why? Because they don't want us to know who we are, because they don't want us to create identity, because they don't want us to create a sense of worth, of value. For me, it's become, like I said, a great issue. When I was in Kern Valley, I lost a book. It was by Paulo Firri. Somebody gave it to me. It was a book that I really cared about. It was Pedagogy of the Oppressed. When I lost it, it really hurt me. So I asked that everybody, when it comes to books, give them a shot, man. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Gerald Padilla, and for my poster, I decided to do it on a current event. And at that moment, the current event that was going on was the mission to Mars, to the moon, Artemis 2. And I started to realize how the media was putting on a big old spectacle on this event. And little by little, I started realizing how Baudrillard talks about how the spectacle just becomes a simulacra. So I want to start off this by reading a quote by Baudrillard. And he says that here is the supreme form of democracy. Through it, our definitive retreat from the world takes shape, the pleasure of mental speculation in images equaling that of capital in a stark market run. And this quote right here, I kind of just put it together with the mission to the moon. And then I started realizing what this mission really started meaning. And why is it now, ever since 1960, that now all of a sudden this urgency to get to the moon? And the main thing that really just comes to mind is just the nationalism and just the form and how the prosperity of Western democracy and everything that just comes, because we know a lot of things that are going to come with that mission to the moon. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Benjamin. It's a privilege for me to present this poster to you. Ocelot reverberations. Who has the power and how is it represented? In contemporary cultural studies, the jaguar becomes a site where identity, power, coloniality, and ecological knowledge intersect. However, throughout thousands of years of indigenous experience, the ocelot has been a political, ecological, and cosmological agent. Traditional ecological knowledge conceptualizes a jaguar as a teacher, ancestor, or guardian whose agency extends beyond mere biological existence. TEK is a site of resistance to colonial epistemic violence by maintaining knowledge that Western institutions attempted to erase. TEK functions as a counter archive. The ocelot becomes an anchor for land-based identity, cultural continuity, and ecological stewardship. Jessica Hernandez states that recognition becomes a form of political activism that challenges existing power structures. Therefore, being indigenous means being radical. A radical identity embraces and celebrates our unique cultural heritage and traditions while actively resisting and destroying oppression. She reminds us that our cultures develop a sense of identity and self-worth. Let us all embrace the strength and resistance of those alone. Thank you.
My name is Jorge Andrade, and I chose the justification of morality by Nietzsche. I felt that it was a good topic for us to confront the realities of what is happening today. We all know that America stands on the values of democracy, freedom, peace, family, and the rule of law. Recently, the United States changed the definition of what a terrorist organization is to combat the cartels from Mexico, because the United States says they cause too much damage, they're bringing drugs to the United States, and they're killing Americans. But yet, in 2023, the United States found in Harrington versus Purdue and Pharma that the Sackler family was responsible for the murder of 247,000 United States citizens. They made $14 billion in 8 years, and they cost the United States taxpayer $53 billion to $73 billion between that time. The Sackler family, no one got convicted. They're still out there enjoying the millions of dollars they made. After World War II, the United States has invaded, been at war, or operated in military ways in Korea, Panama, Haiti, the Middle East, Venezuela, Iran, Guatemala, Chile, Vietnam, Somalia, Bosnia, Kosovo, Iraq, Salvador, Honduras, and is currently overkilling people in the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. I believe it's around 90 to 100 people already. No trial, pure execution. Cartels, yeah, they got military power, high power caliber weapons. 80% comes from the United States. They don't do nothing about it. I believe in my readings through Nietzsche that morality, it is a justification. United States uses it a lot. A lot of politicians go before us and decide the good people, and that's why they're causing damage. I don't know what you believe. You make up your mind. Nietzsche's there for you to read if you want to. Thank you.
My name's Francisco Vallejo, and I chose the hyperreal with Baudrillard, and the concept. I really liked it. I put a picture of a classroom because to me that's like the perfect example of the simulacra. And if you follow Western linear time, you stand on the simulacra because the simulacra has no origin no more because the simulacra changes over to two different concepts flashing together and synthesizing. And great examples were given today of the simulacra, of taking away the Western simulacra and giving you another perspective of another reality. And this is why I like his concept. Thank you.
That concludes our cultural studies and communications posters. Can we please give a round of applause to the presenters? Dr. Maxwell Schnurr, our professor, but more than that, our mentor and pirate captain. Nothing but love for you, Max. Can we give a round of applause for Max? Steve, you guys know Steve Ladwig, tall guy, about the man behind the scenes who makes it happen. More round of applause for Steve. President Carvajal, thank you for stopping by and thank you for giving us your time and your attention. The audience, everyone who tuned in and attended in person, we're your colleagues in here. We're Lumberjacks too. Don't forget about us. Quick shout out to Rick Toledo, a man of action. And that concludes our Ideafest posters. As you saw, we had some great topics. So when you see our posters around, take a second look and check them out. See what we're talking about. Thank you.
Are y'all cool to hang out for a minute or two and take some questions? Maybe say howdy to Artie. Can y'all hear us? Okay.
Big dance right there.
You can see us. Okay?
Let us see a pop like Artie.
Come back.
How are y'all feeling?
Oh man, good.
I'll say this is beautiful in here. It's packed for quite a while. Folks coming through to see it, and the walls all around here just covered with your posters. People coming to look at them, that kind of stuff, which is really amazing. I'm wondering about how it feels to kind of get broadcast out to y'all.
Say again. Feel to get broadcasted out. I'll broadcast it out.
Good. Don't if you want to be on grace.
I feel good, like we're part of the campus, you know, y'all being able to see our work and us being able to share our work with y'all to let y'all know that, you know, we are scholars in here, we are doing the hard work, and you can see it through our presentations.
Yeah, and it goes back to week one, Max, when you asked us, is it important for incarcerated scholars to share their stories? And everybody in here just, they killed it today. Everybody did a good job. So thank you.
I don't know if y'all have questions in here, but I'm obviously, I get the chance to talk, you know, and Artie is in the house saying what up. He's been our doorman for this event. Yeah, absolutely. And the camera's right there. If you want to sit in this zone, it's kind of the easiest way to be seen and heard. But yeah, ask away. You look at there is probably the best way to do it.
So anyone can answer. I'm going to do a quick jury of your peers. If you had a magic wand, it's like I don't know what anyone is in there for, but if you have a magic wand and you could release all the scholars in there with a flick of the wand, Would any of you do it?
If you could win it.
Absolutely.
You can release all the scholars in there, but you put the wand and you do it.
Oh, man. Let me get the wine. You got it? Can I borrow it? We out there, man. We
Don't get on no space crater stuff, though. Yeah, don't get.
Go home, yeah.
That's my jury of your peers' legal advice.
But we got a magic wand, but there's no wand.
That's what you do with your medicine.
I mean, if I
Watch more movies.
if I had a magic wand, right? I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things. Like, what would you do? Would you help the next person, or would you use it on yourself? Could you do both? Max always tells us, why not both? You know what I mean? I think given the opportunity, I think I don't want to make my life way better, but I want to make the next person's life way better. You know what I mean? Like just kind of like save them from making a mistake. Like if you see something or see something happening, like why not stop it? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean, like sensible, like sensible world we live in, right? So sometimes you gotta break the rules. You know what I mean? Using that wand, what would you do with it? Max always tells us, bend it till it breaks.
Okay, if you all want to kind of circle up the cameras here, sort of see where we're at. Dr. Sugata just dropped by, and as you were saying, doing a little heart of cynicism there, Dr. Sugata. But the fans in there, Ross the boss, kid.
You guys, I see you.
What's up, Eric?
See you. Yay, nice to see you all. I heard some of your presentations. I gotta just say with the first ones, the geological ones, good focus on the solutions.
Yeah.
Good focus. Any tips?
You all are incredible speakers. You are so engaging and you can tell that you're really interested in whatever it is that you are researching. So thank you. As an audience member, that's about all I could ask for is you were really entertaining and your topics were really well interwoven, especially when you took something that was like, like the comic book themes mixed with the other topic that you were doing. They were well articulated.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And this is Morgan, who's the sustainability librarian?
Sustainability librarian.
Nice to meet you.
I came away with a better understanding, a more visceral understanding of the simulacra.
Yeah.
And how that operates and from the venom in particular, that one got me on that. And I've got a couple other notes, but they're way over there, so I can't get it going.
Yeah, Corey, that venom, your venom gem dropping was really, really strong. And I also, the page numbers made me so happy. The true sense that that the audience here could track back and check your work. Thank you, Joy. Thank you. Thank you so much, my love.
I have a question / advice.
Yeah. Down.
All right. Hi friends, I'm Chelsea. I just really appreciate y'all sharing your passion. Like that really came through and you're passionate about your schoolwork, you're passionate about what you're studying, you care a lot. I have had the wonderful opportunity of getting to work with Eddie in the juvenile hall with 13 to 17-year-olds. And one of the things we're trying to do is inspire that passion in them. Here's what you could do, go do it. Do y'all have any advice for me? What should I be telling them? How do I get them as passionate as you are? Because you're so passionate about what you're doing.
And Chelsea's gonna co-teach this summer with Dr. Schneider.
Hey, Sam again. I don't know about passion. I'll tell you, it's not easy because we also navigate a lot within this space. We just transferred yards, and that, like, for me, it was really hard. And it's sometimes hard to find motivation. But as far as the passion, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of like really just buckling down, and you really have to want something bad, especially in this environment, because it seems like everything works against you. Of course, we have great support, the great support network within Cal Poly Humboldt, with Steve, with all the professors that come and they extend their resources to us and that care, and that much, it makes that much of a difference. So I would say for you, it's just about providing support and I guess paying attention and trying to just meet people where they're at, and also, you know, having a little bit of that grace. But yeah, we love this program. I stayed here. This isn't like a very cool place outside of this classroom, I would say, but I stayed here just to do this, and this is something I'm passionate about. It's given me purpose, and it's helped me find where I want to go in life. So I don't want to graduate anywhere else but through Cal Poly Humboldt, and to get my communication degree, my bachelor degree through here, and to graduate with this cohort right here. Like, these are my friends, my family right here. So it's really the support in the community, I think, that really helps, because when it's not easy and when you're feeling down, like, you know, sometimes you need your friend. I work with him right here, so he'll get on me if I'm lacking or if I'm slacking. You know, he'll check in with me, and that's really, I think that's what makes the difference. And knowing that you can rely on the people around you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all your hard work and sharing your passions and sharing your hard work with us. I learned a lot today from you all. Thank you.
Thank you. So one of the things that I think that for myself, when I get out there, I want to work with the community, and especially kids who are going through that process where they're becoming introduced to the justice system, right? One of the things that I would say is reintroduce them to themselves. A lot of times we're identity deficient, right? We lack this understanding of who we are and how we're navigating certain situations within our environment, which is at home. A lot of times we run away from our problems. We don't know how to express ourselves. We don't know how to communicate what we're truly feeling inside, right? So I think it's taking that time and having that one-on-one with whatever kid you see is going through something, or even if not through a group, right? One of the things I would do is introduce Animal Farm. I would introduce Burro Genius. I would introduce Rain of Gold. These are books that are culturally meant to help us, in a sense, you know, demystify these ideas that we have that have been indoctrinated to us throughout our schooling. So, like I said, I would have little sit downs and really ask these kids, hey, like, what is it that motivates you? What is it that inspires you? What is it that gets you going and wants to make you want to change, you know? Or is there something? Because like I said, if somebody would have stepped up and talked to me and said, hey, what's afflicting you? Or what's going on at home? A lot of times we may say, oh, we're going to do this. But as an adult with adult responsibilities, we don't have that time, right? But if you're really about change and you're really about actually inspiring a kid, I think you have to make that time, and you have to put yourself in a position where you're there even when you know you can't be there, right? So like I said, but I would hold these books in high regard. I love books. Books have been what has really emancipated me and set me free from these, you know, westernized ideas. And counter stories, for us, learning about counter stories has been like really impactful. Because now we write our own counter stories. Now we give weight to the way we're brought up, the things we experience, and those counter stories influence other people. They impact other people. So, like I said, I would take the time to introduce some of those books, always running, right? Books by Bell Hooks, which is one of my favorite, you know, authors. I think that just making them understand what love truly is, right? What humanity is. Even the book Roots, I read that book 3 times, and every time it was just fun. So that would be something I would recommend.
Thank you. I love that. Yeah. Thank you.
And again, the hand was up here if you want us to talk to folks. This is casual conversation. You can just say what up to the students in Pelican Bay, and then their posters are on the inside and outsides of these walls. And fellas, I heard this morning that we printed 46 posters And this is the largest cohort of posters printed at Ideafest. And so through like your intellectual production kind of shines in this whole section of the library, right outside Garrett's office. And so Garrett's going this morning, like, you're making an impact here.
Benjamin.
Hello, my name is Gerald, and I just want to follow up on my last two classmates and what they're saying. Passion is one of those components I think is necessary to reconnect with our youth, especially at 13 and 17. I believe at that age, because I think back when I was 13, 17, I was looking for acceptance. And I think all of us can identify with that. And to reconnect with youth, I believe what's important is to find somebody where they can connect with, identify with, who knows their struggle, that's been there, and then help guide them out of that and show them a different direction. I think that's just another component of how to reconnect with our youth and let them know that, there's people out there that care about them. There's people that been where they're at, but now have disconnected from all the insanity and just looking for a different path now. I think that's important too.
I love what you said about like getting someone that they identify with and helping just create that reconnection, let them know that other people have been there too. Thank you. This is all really helpful. Thank you.
Did you want
Yeah, my name's Antonio Barajas, and I wanted to answer Chelsea's question too. In here, like the general message to anybody that you want to get to read or to start educating themselves is to pretty much better themselves. Like, do you want to leave here worse than you came in, or do you want to leave better? That's part of the messaging we use here.
Okay.
Me remembering as a young man, when I always liked education, that I was, but I was always struggling with, I got involved in all this with just trying to find what it meant to be a man, finding my manhood. And to me, when I started reading these books and they started challenging me, instead of like just running away and be like, this is just too hard, I would, like, that drive was in me. Like, this person is not going to write something that I'm not going to understand. Like, you're not going to get me. So just, I guess, understanding the drives of every one of these people, I think a lot of that drives through the intuition that you have, the relationship that you have with each individual child. But yeah, like, I'm sure they have energy, they have passions, finding out what that energy and that passion and just trying to direct it. Because telling a kid what to do from an authority and being incarcerated, like, it's hard to, when that authority is incarcerating you and you have people from that authority coming to you, trying to help you, there's always that, I mean, with me, at least there was that struggle of, like, it's still these are the people that I'm, that I'm incarcerated under. These are the people that are over me. So that's always challenging, but just finding that connection, that human being connection. And yeah, we're not welcome from different backgrounds and stuff, but I mean, we could connect on a human level on any number of things. It just takes a conversation and listening. So, yeah, thank you.
Are you Benjamin Perez or?
That's Antonio.
Hello, my name is Shaka Nasser, and I think one of the things that might motivate youth between 12 and 17 is probably to teach them about their own culture. When we go through the education system, we're not really learning about our culture. I didn't learn about Black studies. I went to school with Mexicans. We didn't learn about Mexican studies either. We mainly studied European culture. But I think motivate them to become better, to find their purpose in life, because all of our diverse cultures, we have heroes within those cultures that we can look up to. And I think that's important. That would motivate us. I've studied a lot of stuff over the years of my incarceration. And it actually changed my life, turned my life around. So that's my contribution. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you. I definitely want to bring in stuff from these cultures for that now.
And Frank, we got there are folks coming in and out, and so just be aware there are people coming in and out. There might be more questions as well. And once you're done, and I do want to say you kind of killed it today, Frank. You were definitely tearing it up. But I know there's a question for Benjamin once we get a little break from y'all.
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to tell Dr. Segal I got a question for him.
You're in trouble now, Michelle. Frank, hit it. We got you.
So I like in the juvenile hall system, right? And I know Artie knows this, right? I know he's been in the juvenile hall system and stuff like that. You know what I mean? We're both from like the same area. Like I did like my whole things like around movies and stuff like that. But in juvenile hall, like, yeah, they do give you movies, right? They do like they'll have like a movie night or whatever. Like you might be a day room sleeper, a camp right there. Nobody's getting visits, everybody's watching movies and stuff like that, right? It's like those like I was always right there on the weekend too. Like my family wasn't coming to see me or anything like that. Like we were watching movies and stuff like that. So everybody is very passionate about like a certain movie watching over the weekend or throughout the week in juvenile hall. If you could connect that with something learning it like in here and Max knows, like I connect a lot of stuff that what I learn about through movies and everything. You can tie a passion to them. Or even like when I was in juvenile, like I was in a camp program. They had a culinary arts program right there. There was guys in there who decided to do culinary arts when they got out of camp. So you have to you got to tap into it. Always got to tap into it. It's there, but it's just on you to give that little spark to it. But there's things right there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I like the idea of tapping other like education and things because they are there's a movie motivation for sure. There's an incentive there.
Do you want to chime in?
No, just like trial and error, you know? It's like everyone's different.
Yeah.
And everyone's different. And everyone comes from different walks of life. So you gotta see what each person wants, likes, or into. Sometimes they don't even know. So enter something into your life and then boom.
Thank you.
This is Benjamin.
Hi, my name is Benjamin. There's a question?
Yeah, I'm Hakeem. I came to Ideafest because I recently got interested in consulting on a level that I hadn't really before. So it's like I'm coming here. I'm looking for ideas which can save the world. I'm looking to achieve post scarcity. So your poster was the one that I had to focus on because it's about not marginalizing Native peoples, and that's something that I've wanted to see for a couple hundred years before I was even born. Because it's like I'm not happy with European colonization, and I don't know how to start the conversation. So it's like, where do you want to see the world go as having indigenous life?
Well, and I was going to come up here because when you guys talked about juvenile hall and how we can kind of redirect these young minds, a lot of us have been incarcerated in the juvenile hall settings, and we've been incarcerated when we're young. And Mr. Shakanaza pointed out, comes to culture as well. So this poster and learning about traditional ecological knowledge really resonated with me because I learned about my heritage at a young age, being incarcerated. And as Jessica Hernandez highlighted, it gives us a sense of identity and self-worth. And I think when we're young and we join gangs and we get into that lifestyle, that's where we're embracing like a sense of self-worth, it's a validation. So when we actually learn about our heritage and what's real and where we come from, that really empowers us. And even now, learning about TEK, I mean, we were oppressed while we were incarcerated because we were learning about our heritage, because we had books that we identify with our indigenous culture, with our Black history culture, and we were oppressed because of these things. So when we embrace the Jaguar, for me, it's embracing a sense of self-worth for me. So where would I want to go? I mean, I would want to build on what you guys have really established here for us, so that activism, and get home and continue building on that, community activism and helping our communities, lifting them up from the trauma that we've experienced for way too long and learning about that. And that's what Jessica Hernandez also says, the trauma that's inherently generational, and we don't even know it. So now that we're becoming educated and learning about these things, they're really opening our eyes and, being conscious to how we can overcome the experience. So yeah, going home and becoming a community activist and just changing the culture out there, the way we are here within ourselves collectively.
For what you know now, alternate timeline, if your early life had turned out different, could you see yourself, if you had more access, if your access to your culture or heritage had gotten to you at an earlier time in your life, in an alternate timeline, could you see yourself living a different enough life to where you never got into prison?
Absolutely, because it would give me a foundation to who I am early on in life. And if I would embrace that earlier than I did, it would have opened up different levels of consciousness for me, because now I know myself, and that's the life journey that we continue to build on.
So I as a white person, I really don't want to ask a marginalizing question. It's like, I apologize if this is too forward, but it's like.
Well, we are communication majors, so whatever you ask, we're obligated to answer. So feel free.
That makes it a little easier. It's like, so as far as the question I just asked, an alternate timeline. So it's like your confidence. Are you like 90% confident or more like 60% confident? Like how different can you imagine your life would be? What's your confidence?
Man, I would say, yeah, 90 plus. I mean,
90 plus.
if you know yourself, then you find answers to whatever your questions are. So just building on that, I mean, so yeah, I would say 90 plus.
Let me slide in just a second, can I just say that, I saw a ton of logos in your presentations, and I saw a lot of ethos, speaker credibility, but one of the presentations really moved me with pathos, the emotional appeal. And I gotta say that Trenton's discussion about being a dad and telling the story had like everybody in the room kind of open. And I was wondering about how it feels to kind of dive into maybe some of the more vulnerable parts of this from the perspective of an audience you don't know. We got Dr. Meyer here. We got a lot of folks who I think are friends you haven't met yet in this space. But I'm just wondering if any of y'all felt comfortable talking a little bit about that. And Trenton, you really rocked that today. I could feel the president's vibes right next to you. Moving this room. So yeah, vulnerability, y'all.
I'll let
him know what you said. Why did you feel vulnerable? Talking your posters. I don't like to I answer too many questions and I hog up the class way too much, so I don't like to be up here a lot. But yeah, nobody came up. But I will say it was hard for me just to find exactly what I'm gonna talk about, because I grew up, my grandfather, he's passed away. My father, that is a sensitive subject for me. That what I have on that poster means a lot to me. My father is we've always considered ourselves indigenous. He's always told me we're indigenous. And there's a lot of pride in there. And it's, I think about them and I think about the stories and just my upbringing when I write about that. So whenever you have 2.5 minutes to present something that means so much to you, and it just so many things get in the way, and I just feel so many things that I want to do it right. I want to project, I want to relate to, I want to share with all of you what it means to me, how much love I have for it, how happy it makes me feel, how proud and how sad. It all makes me feel, and it's connected to my family. So all the work that I've been doing it's been my focus. So anything that I've been able to present up here usually goes back to that, to my family, and it's never easy because I miss them, I love them, and well, obviously you're apart from them a whole lot. So whenever I'm up here talking about that, I think about my grandfather, I think about my father, I think about that land, I think about my memories, and it's not easy. So and then on top of that, just getting it together and focusing on that
But once you're done, and I'm able to tell my dad, you know, have these conversations with my dad and tell him, look, I presented, I talked about this, all that stuff that you used to tell me when I was young, and I kind of ignored you. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's not easy, but I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Nothing, the good things in life cost, you know, and sometimes even if it costs me a little bit of sadness and nostalgia and melancholy when I'm up here, it's worth it because I get to share with all of you. You know, this school means a lot to me. My classmates mean a lot to me. The faculty, everybody means so much to me. And just me being able to share something that means so much to me with all of you, it means the world to me. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So we gotta go. Closing comments.
Well, we want to thank all y'all for taking time out y'all day. I know y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all chose to share with us. And for that, we appreciate that. Thank you for listening to our stories, our work. And you know, this is our class right here. Y'all are our class right there as well. You know what I mean? It's all one campus. You know, we're happy that we could have been out there with y'all. So thank you all and enjoy y'all days.
Thank you.
I'm not. Thanks. I got it. Okay.
Boy, Martin.